my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my light, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore.
Welcome, friends, to Camp Sunday, which is taking place all across the Iowa Conference and in your local church. Welcome. It is such a simple word and yet such a profound act of love. It is the folks that brewed the coffee and printed the bulletins and prepared the slides so you would have what you need this morning. It's the greeter who stood by the door waiting for you. And when we think about camp, it's the meals that are prepped and the activities planned and the grounds maintained and the apportionments given so that each one of our campers has what they need when they arrive. It's the counselor that stands waiting for them. So whether this is your first time here or you have come back again and again, we are so glad you are here. Welcome to worship. Welcome.
Good morning. Let's stand and greet each other.
God calls to the lost, the least, and all who long for home. God calls when we wander from the path chosen for us and waste the gifts we've been given. God calls and welcomes us back to worship this day. So let us celebrate and rejoice in God's presence forever. Let us worship God together.
While they're getting ready, the choir is singing an oldie but a goodie, Pass It On, this morning. If you know it and you want to join us, please do.
Takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, His breath is love to everyone. You want to pass it on. What a wondrous time is spring, when all the trees are budding. The birds begin to sing, the flowers start their blooming. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you want to sing. It's fresh like spring. You want to pass it on. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where you're found. I'll shout it from the mountain top. Hey world! I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
All right, 4 announcements. Next Sunday is Kids Worship and Graduation Sunday, so there will be a cake reception to follow. Scholarship sign-up ends on April 28th, which is Monday, so make sure your graduate gets that information in. Church mowing starts in May, so we need volunteers to help mow the church lawn. You can sign up on the app or in the office, and we actually have a clipboard today that we can help you with. And then I have a couple other ones. From 11 to 1 p.m. today at the Memorial Lutheran Church, there's a community brunch to raise funds to help Eileen Miller in her battle against stage 4 breast cancer. She is no longer able to work and they need assistance with medical expenses. Please attend, or you can give a donation to Jolene and she will make sure that it gets to Eileen. And then the last one that I have is we're going to do a Put Your Faith in Action challenge. This was in the newsletter this week, so if you haven't read about it, you can go back and read about it. At the beginning of spring, we held our first ever Faith in Action Fair, which was so much fun. It was such a great opportunity to see all the amazing ministries and groups that we have here at FUMC and the impact that you all are having. We are going to be heading into a new season of summer, and that's something that we are all looking forward to. Grilling, time in the backyard with friends, fishing, camping, vacations, and more. It's also the time that we are the busiest here at FUMC with Fair Stand, VBS, Pizza Palooza, Lincoln Highway Days. We're really active in the community. We're really lucky for that. So as you begin to plan your summer, we challenge you to take some time to find 1 or 2 weekends to serve here at the church. Ushering, greeting, either service, Sunday mornings or Revive, nursery, running Revive slides, pie nights, potato salad crew, cafe, lawn mowing, meal train. The list goes on as we continue throughout the summer. Imagine if each person or family that we have at FUMC just took 2 weekends to serve somewhere in the church. What a difference we would make. So my challenge for you is to be watching the app. If you don't know how to get to signups, contact one of us and we'll gladly walk you through it. Keep watching the announcements as they'll grow through the summer as we start having these opportunities available to us. And watch for the signups that are going to be going around this morning. We'll have clipboards that'll go around for the next couple Sundays so that everybody can get signed up. So I really encourage you to make a difference this summer by putting your faith in action.
It is that time in our service when we share joys and concerns. So does anyone have anything they want to pray about?
Okay, I'm Abby Sandvik. I'm talking on behalf of the missions team, and I just want to let you guys know that with the Noisy Coin offering, we were able to raise $601.03. And then on Encore Sunday, we were able to raise $2,705. Round of applause for that. Thank you all. And then I also wanted to share that I was able to join the youth group, and we all went over to a church in Ames and helped in this thing called Feeding Hades Kids. So we got on a little assembly line and we packaged some dried vegetables, protein powder, and rice in little bags and filled boxes. And everybody there was able to make over 40,000 meals. Their goal is 150,000, so at least we put a little dent in it. But I think it's really cool, and I think we should all try and make it there next year. Thank you.
Microphone's scary. I'm Jan Lundgren. My grandson is Jackson Baker. Yeah, my neighbor's clapping. Anyway, he is a senior this year at the high school. His mother's been trying to get him to apply for colleges. He applied for 8 of them. If you know him or you don't know him, he's in all the musicals at the high school. He loves it more than anything in the world, and we were so surprised when he said that's the career he's going to have. And so he applied at 8 colleges. He's pretty smart. I'm his grandma. Anyway, he got all 8 returned, and they accepted him. And so he was waiting and waiting about 2 months, and finally his mom said, listen, pick a college. They all want you. If you don't, I know that they're going to give those scholarships to someone else. And he said, nope, I'm waiting for the one that didn't write me. And she said, all right. So anyway, this went on for another week, and finally she said, we're going to sit down today, and you're going to accept one of these colleges in music and thespian. And that day, in the mail, came the college of his dreams, Boston Conservatory, a full ride scholarship, and extra money for living expenses. His mother could not believe it. So in my heart, he was blessed by God, and he's a smart kid because he waited. And so that's where he'll be going in the fall. And everything's cool now in the family. So anyway, thanks for letting me talk about it.
Hi, my name is Dee Munson, and I want to bring you up to date on my good friend Gwen Fries. So as Steve Williams told you last week, she was in the hospital. And the latest update is that after following up doctor's appointments this week, she has been placed under hospice care. She has had a recurrence of the cancer that was treated last summer, and she is at home at the Regency, and I know she would enjoy all of your prayers and hearing from you with a card mailed to her apartment at 111. And you can find the address for the Regency on your phones or in the phone book. But she's in apartment 111. Thank you.
Hi, this is Joe McFarland, and I just want to point out that I was Jackson Baker's piano teacher. So, but the real reason I am speaking is many of you know Suzanne Peters, who used to sing in the choir, and there is a celebration of life this afternoon out at Shipley Schoolhouse, and that's from 3 to 4. And prior to that, starting at 1 o'clock, there is a visitation. So if you'd like to go out and give your condolences to her family and be there for the services, that's where it is.
Anyone else? I'm sure there's no one else. Okay, please join me in prayer. Lord, please be with those who need to feel your presence. Thank you for those special moments in our lives that we are able to share this morning. And especially thank you for the words that you taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Let us open our hearts in prayer and gratitude for the blessings and opportunities that God has given us. Good and gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to steward your creation through our United Methodist Camping and Retreat Ministries. As we gather here today, we are reminded of the ways that you reveal yourself through the beauty of nature, the joy of community, and the transformation that happens at camp. Like the prodigal son, sometimes we wander, yet you welcome us with open arms. We give you thanks for the ways that camp offers a place of renewal where hearts are softened, faith is deepened, and lives are changed. Bless the campers, the staff, the volunteers who make all of these opportunities possible. May this ministry continue to grow, shaping world-changing disciples of Jesus. Guide us as we support and nurture this important work, always seeking to glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
A reading from Luke chapter 15, verses 1 through 3, and verses 11 through 32. The parable of the lost sheep. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Then Jesus told this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one would give him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants had food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I have been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with friends. But when his son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him?' 'My son,' the father said, 'you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found again.'"
Please stand and join us in singing number 145 in the hymnal.
Praise for the Lord.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to be able to preach this morning on Camp Sunday. And I think that it's such great luck that the gospel text for today, the lectionary gospel text for today, is the parable of the prodigal son. This is a story that we've heard many times throughout all of our Christian education. I cannot tell you how many camp Bible studies I led on the prodigal son. And so to be able to talk about this gospel lesson today while we're celebrating camp is super exciting. So when I usually preach on this story of Jesus, I usually start from the perspective of not the prodigal son, the kid who goes off and has a great time and runs away from home and kind of insults his dad and spends all of his money and eats with the pigs and then comes back. I mean, that's a great story, right? I usually tell the story from the perspective, though, of the eldest, most responsible child. The child who stayed home. The child who does their chores. The child who puts in their time and does everything right. Because if you don't know this about me, you now will. I am the most responsible eldest child in my family. I grew up in a family of middle and youngest children, and so from the moment I was born, I was elected as the most responsible person. The one who will take care of it. The one who will do the jobs. The ones who will watch the brothers. The ones who will make sure the chores are done. And so when I think about this story, I am secretly and almost always on the side of the eldest son. I mean, come on. He's doing everything that he was supposed to be doing. He was showing up. He put in his time. He wasn't even disrespectful to his dad's face, at least. And yet, this youngest kid, he gets all the glory. And you know what? I wonder if maybe you guys feel like this about this story too sometimes. You good and righteous church folks who are showing up on a Sunday at church when there is a video preacher, which we all know is the worst. And even still, you're here and you're listening to a video preacher, not your own great pastor, and you are putting in your time because you know the rules and you love Jesus and you are here. And my friends, let me just pause in this moment to say thank you. Thank you for being the ones who show up every single day and you put in your time. And maybe you are the responsible eldest children of the church because you're the ones who are making sure that the garbage is getting taken out. You're the ones who do the kitchen laundry after all the potlucks to make sure there are no stinky dishcloths left over. You're the ones who make sure that the doors are unlocked and that people have a place and that the coffee is ready. And so let me tell you now, if nobody ever tells you, thank you. Thank you, responsible eldest children. But back to the gospel lesson at hand. When I was thinking about how I preach on this text normally, I almost always come at it from my perspective as the responsible eldest child, because even though it isn't super flattering, because as Jesus is telling this story, this gospel story, he's telling it to tax collectors and sinners who had gathered to be around him to hear the message. But he's also telling this story to the Pharisees who are grumbling and complaining while the tax collectors and the sinners can hear them about how bad they are and how much time Jesus is spending with them. So let's just be really clear that when I tell this story from the perspective of the eldest child, this is not a flattering perspective. It just isn't. But I think I come to it from this angle because in my heart of hearts, and I think the world has taught me all along, that we should start from at least a position of strength and power. And having an identity of being good and righteous and holy, of doing what you're supposed to do, of being responsible, of showing up and putting in your time, is a position of power. It's a way to highlight my place of strength in the world and all the ways in which maybe I just deserve to be loved a little bit more. It's a way that I can prove to myself and everybody else that God probably loves me just a little bit more because, as my pastor friend Leanne says, and as Mary Poppins says, I'm practically perfect in every way. And because I'm so great, and I'll tell you how great I am, and maybe I've been the greatest child that there ever was, I, like the oldest brother in the parable, would really love to have my party. Thank you very much. I want my reward. I want what is coming to me. Oh my goodness, this is so unflattering, isn't it? How often do we good church folks fall into the temptation of thinking that God's love is something that we have to prove that we've earned by our good behavior, by our showing? How often do we feel like, us church folks, that God's love is something that we have to work for? Or that even God's love and grace for us is a reward for just how naturally awesome we are by virtue of being the best. I mean, that's really the bottom line for the Pharisees who kicked off this whole string of storytelling from Jesus. They were grumbling and they were complaining that Jesus was hanging out with those bad people, those tax collectors, those sinners, those folks that didn't even know how to act right out in public, those folks who weren't law-abiding, those folks who were not putting in their time in the right way. And under all that grumbling from the Pharisees, do you know what I hear? I hear this deep-seated fear and also this self-righteous importance a little bit of people who are saying, if you're paying attention to those folks, Jesus, then you're not paying attention to me. As if the attention and love of Jesus was limited. As if the love and grace of God is a zero-sum game, which means if there's something for someone else, there's less for me. Which is like the more you get, the less I have. Or the more you win, the more I lose. And even though I know better, how often do I start from that identity of that place of righteousness, that temptation, that trap to be seen as the best or to give my reward? That place of power and strength. I mean, I literally do it all the time. Because for me, in some ways, it's a little less embarrassing than starting this story from a place of desperation and need, like the younger brother. But I'm here to tell you about camp and the difference camp made in my life, and I can't do that without telling you a different kind of story now. So rewind in time with me for the folks who are over 40. You can imagine the tape recorder going backwards. If you're younger than 40, you just hit back, right? Just skip back. The year was 1995. It was the time in the land before cell phones. I was a curly-haired girl in a straight-haired world, and I had just gotten my first CD player, but do not let this fool you. It did not make me cool in any way. I was really weird in 1995. I still am. I was homeschooled. I was riddled with what I now know to be social anxiety, and it was already combined with that time with eldest child perfectionist syndrome. It was a delightful time to be 12 3/4-year-old. It's good to know that the theme of being an eldest child runs through my life, right? Anyway, at this time, I've been raised in the second pew from the front on the pulpit side of the Grizzled United Methodist Church, and that church taught me that Jesus loved me. They taught me about the 10 Commandments. I learned about the fruits of the Spirit. I knew all the things because my church did a good job. And that church also sent me to camp as a camper. I went to camp at Camp Aldersgate, which is no longer with us, and then came over here to Wesley Woods. And then when I was 12 3/4, I decided that I wanted to not just be a camper, but I wanted to work at camp. Because I had seen camp people, and they were cool. And I wanted that for myself. It was my dream to be a cool camp counselor. And let me tell you, for this weird, anxious, awkward kid, that was a very bold dream. So on this fateful day in early summer of 1995, my mother and I are driving down to junior counselor training at Camp Aldersgate. And I'm already having a panic because, as I told you, I'm socially anxious, and I'm panicking because I am positive that none of these people will like me. I'm doing a panic because we grew up with not a lot of stuff, and I was convinced that my clothes were really stupid, and people were going to think I was dumb. I was doing a panic because I didn't know any of the other people that were going to be there. I didn't know if they would be nice or be my friends. But the worst reason for the panic, and let me tell you, as an oldest child, we were running late. And as I said, this was in 1995, the time in the land before cell phones existed, before you could just make a little text or a phone call to say, hey, we're running late, but don't worry, and everybody would be like, cool, we know where you are, that's great. No, this was a vacuum of not knowing what would happen. And I tell you, it was only 30 minutes from our house to camp, but I swear that drive took 2 hours. And my mother will confirm it because I was giving all of my big teenager feelings at her. So I was not doing a panic on the inside, I was also making everybody else miserable around me because that's what you do when you're weird and you're 12. So we drive down there. I am anxious. I am upset. I know in my heart that I'm going to show up and they're going to take one look at me and say, thanks, but no thanks. You are not cool enough to be here. I know in my heart they're going to take one look at me and say, listen, Melissa, we appreciate that you tried, but if you are not responsible enough to get here on time, how could we ever trust you to be responsible enough to be a camp counselor? I was convinced that it was over before it began. So feel the teenage drug with me. We pull in. All the cars are already there. You know the feeling. Nobody's outside. I have to walk up the endless sidewalk to get into the Otterbein Lodge. And I think to myself, if only I can just sneak in, maybe they won't notice that I'm late. If only I could just go in the back, they will just absorb me and it'll be like it never happened. But no, this is a lodge that had a big metal crash door. There was no sneaking in. So I pushed the door open and my heart is filled with dread. There is no way that it was quiet or inobtrusive either. And there they all are in an instant. Every kid who could manage to get to camp on time was already in the circle, already in their place, already where they belonged. And I knew this was it. I wish I could have died. I wish I could have just fallen through the floor. I wish that the big eraser in the sky would just tell me to erase it and we could start the day over. I wish for anything but this moment. And then the camp director turned around and she looked at me. And the entire circle did this with her. And she said, Melissa, we're so glad you're here. We have been waiting for you. And in my memory, all of the kids in the circle said the same thing with her. And it was in that moment that I experienced what it was like for the very first time to be part of God's love. In that moment, I was transformed from this weird, reject, outcast kid to being somebody that they already knew and called and wanted by name. Now, church had taught me that Jesus loved me, but camp made me feel it for the first time. And I knew in that moment that that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to be the kind of person who made the circle bigger and who said to all of the weird, strange, least, last, lost, overlooked, looked through, forgotten, late people, welcome. We are so glad you're here. Because that's what camp does, right? Camp gives the opportunity for kids to experience Jesus' love in a real, life-changing, and tangible way. And for me, I would not be standing here today as a preacher or as a district superintendent without that moment at camp, and then all of the moments that came after, as camp and church taught me how to be a real disciple. As camp and church taught me how to practice making the circle bigger. And so church, today we have an opportunity to, again, look around us and see who's missing from our circle. And you know that there are people here that you are missing. There are people that are not in this place right now with us, and we don't even yet know their names. But I'm telling you right now that the Jesus that we love, the Jesus that tells the story of the lost coin, of the lost sheep, of the lost son, already knows who they are. And church, this is our challenge. Our challenge is to find a way to every single day live what I experienced that day at camp. So that people know that when we talk about God's love, they will actually have that experience of it. And so on this day, our challenge, my challenge, your challenge, is that the temptation is always to draw the circle in tight once we make our way into it. Once we know that we have God's love, it's really tempting for us to say, okay, that's good. We don't need any more people. We like it how it is. And church, this is not the love of Jesus that says there is always enough for one more. There is always space for another person. There is always a place for somebody to transform their identity from shame and blame to beloved and welcome. And so on this day, my friends, I'd like you to take a minute and think about who's missing from the circle today. Maybe you want to write it down on your bulletin. Maybe you're one of those naughty people who writes in your book. But I'd like you to take a minute and write down the name of one person that you know should be in this circle. And then, church, our commitment together is to take the next step. And to not just wait for the late kid to come in, but for us to go out. For us to be like Jesus who is seeking, for us to be like the Father in this story, to be on the watch and on the lookout for ways in which we can make the circle bigger. Because let me tell you this, friends, there is room here for more. Come in.
As soon as I see the campus, it's great. And it brings me back to a time where I was a kid, where I felt the freedom to be with God in a friendly environment. And I want my children to have that same feeling.
We really do have a family here. We get so many new opportunities and other people who you can walk in faith with throughout the week. You can feel like you belong.
I think I've been coming here for about 5 years now.
I've been coming for about 3 years, I think.
Probably about 14 years now. Our church introduced us to camp and I was just amazed. It was such a wonderful experience. Everybody here is so welcoming and kind, and they make you feel so special and important. My kids just loved it.
There's something special about this camp that I have not found anywhere else. The kids are actually on fire for God. The staff is on fire for God.
I see God at camp all around us. He was in the laughs that the campers have. All his love is shared between all of us.
There's so much more to life. There's so much more to God in this place. The experiences, the bonds that we share with every single camper. I get to know them as a full family. That is what Camp Wesley Woods is all about.
All right, we have a special guest today here. We have Sierra from Wesley Woods. So we'll let her talk a little bit about
Well, good morning. Like she said, my name is Sierra Koosley. I am the camp program manager at Wesley Woods. I'm super excited to be here. So, funny story, I actually was in the room watching Melissa give her little sermon that day, and so I was there for it, and watching it again, I was like, dang, she is such a good speaker, and she resonates camp so well. And I don't know about you, I also grew up at camp, and hearing her story, I was like, yep, that was me too. The awkward kid that you're like, why am I here? But somewhere along the lines, the great thing about camp is we love and accept anyone and everyone for who they are. And so even being the awkward child that shows up late, aka I also did that this morning too. I got here a little late. At camp you are still loved, adored, welcomed with open arms, and that's what Wesley Woods is still about today. So love her, and I love the fact that she loves camp as much as I do because like I said, at 17, I drove down to a camp in Louisiana to work at as United Methodist camp there, and never ever thought in a million years that awkward, quiet, shy child now would 20 years later be up here talking in front of a church, living her life at camp and loving every second of it. So so camp obviously holds a special place in my heart. Like I said, I was the shy, quiet child that hid behind my mom at most family gatherings, even though they were family, and didn't really talk to people, didn't associate. But camp has really changed me into a person that I feel confident. I've grown a lot in my skills and my leadership. So it's a place for children, youth, and adults to have the opportunity to grow closer to God and encounter an experience with Christ that they will never forget. Right. Obviously, camp is just like going and hanging out. We have so much fun activities there. My personal favorite, we have a horseback riding arena and program that is near and dear to my heart. I was actually the barn coordinator there last summer, so it's a great program. I love it. We also have lake toys. We have archery. We just installed a new slingshot range. If you've never done slingshot ranges before, John Miller, our maintenance guy, has made it so that way anytime you even think about slingshotting a rock, you will hear a nice ting with where you aim at. So super excited about that. We have canoeing. We are right on Lake Aquabi. We have those crafts. We have high ropes. All the things that you want to do outside, we get to do at camp. So where The reason why camp is so important is we love campers being able to come out to camp and get dirty, right? So there's no video games at camp, there's no cell phones, they just get to go outside, be a kid. So, and it's a great, it's amazing to watch a kid just be there in such a positive environment, right? So Wesley Woods is a safe place for kids to learn new skills, grow in their self-esteem and confidence, make new friends, and grow in their faith. Through worship songs, campfire devotions, we encourage each camper to take the next step in their faith journey, whether it's the first step or the millionth. And so I'm here today, obviously, just to talk about how great camp is and to answer any questions you might have. But I also have a thing for you all to do to be able to support camp. So send your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, your sisters, twice removed, cousins, neighbors, friends to camp. I promise that you won't regret it. They will have the time of their lives. And you maybe can take a break. Maybe, I don't know, if you have other kids running around, it might be a little hard. But we love the fact that camp is not only great for the kids, but also a great time for parents, maybe just to have a date night or be able to maybe clean the house without a kid running around destroying it again, because that's what happens, right? We will definitely send your kids back tired and dirty, but they will be just so full of joy and laughter and just like the presence of God in their life that you won't even notice the amount of dirty laundry you will definitely have. And then also another thing is to look around and see families that in the community or that you know that maybe aren't comfortable coming to a church but are looking for activities for their kids to do this summer. It's obviously a great opportunity for kids to experience the love of Christ in a comfortable and safe environment, and some of them for the first time. So sometimes church can be scary, I won't lie, but camp, you can't be scared at camp. It's too much fun. So there's too much stuff to do there. And then last year we also gave away about $61,000 in financial aid for kids who needed a helping hand to come to camp. We believe that every child should come to camp no matter their financial situation, and we would love to continue to grow the opportunity with your help. Again, I was one of those kids back in the day. My mom had 4 of us, and she was like, I can't afford to send you, but by golly, you're going to camp, because she knew how important it was. So I love that we continue to do that. That's my biggest selling point too with a lot of families is like, we want your kid to come to camp. Like, if you need a full scholarship, awesome. If you need $20 taken off your total bill, awesome. Like, let's get your kid to camp. You won't regret it. And then lastly, I'm just asking for you to keep Wesley Woods and like Okoboji in your prayers. Prayers for the campers to have open hearts, for our counselors to have the energy and patience to show Christ's love to each camper. I am proud to say we are fully staffed this summer, so I'm super excited about it. But we also have a brand new staff this summer, so going to have a lot of training and a lot of fun to do, but I'm really excited about it. And then also for the leadership team, so me, and then you saw Sean Gunderson, he's our site director, and then Micah Spurlock and John Miller are all the full-time staff there. And so just for us to be a source of support for both our counselors and campers, and maybe to get like a little sleep sometimes, maybe, we'll see. Or just, to make sure I have an ample supply of energy drinks. And then finally, and obviously most important, I just want to say thank you guys for your support. It is awesome to come here and see so many kids here, just like serving at the coffee bar, and just, I love walking in and there was music playing and there was dances going on. So thank you guys for just being a huge part of the Wesley Woods community. I don't think I can really express how much joy I found when just walking into this church and just seeing it alive and so excited. And even I was just like, this is adorable. Like, I love the support that you guys have for camp. So I did set up a board out there, and I have a bunch of brochures. I also have a little thing for if you have never been to Wesley Woods, you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for my kids to go without me. We actually have something called a Family Connection Camp, which is Memorial Day weekend, and that's for the whole crew to come. So we give you a nice little living space to stay together as a family. We provide the food, the shelter, and the fun. All we do is ask that you bring your family along with you. Grandparents are welcome too, so anyone, I always say like ages 0 to 92 and a half are welcome to come. You don't have to do the activities, you can just hang out. But yeah, so we'll have our horses, we'll have our archery, we'll have our canoeing, all available for our families to come and enjoy together. And it helps you guys also get to know the camp. And some of our staff will be there, so we'd love to have anyone and all come to that program. And it just, again, like it gives you an opportunity to come to camp, and you also get to be a kid too. That's the best part. So camp is not just for kids. So thank you guys so much for letting me come and chat with y'all today. Like I said, I'll be out there. If you have any questions, comments, you want to tell me a cool camp story, I love those as well. So thank you guys so much, and yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Sierra. A lot of you know I am a giant Wesley Woods advocate. You can see Case is wearing his shirt. He will be going, this is his 4th year, and he decided to go to Okoboji. He's done Wesley Woods every other time, so you want to go check out that camp up there, which looks amazing. We also have campership opportunities if you need some help with financial for covering that as well. You can talk to Pastor Deb or Pastor Jonathan, and they can help you with that. So we are going to sing a song that Kason learned at Wesley Woods last summer, and we loved it so much that we brought it back for VBS, and it was a gigantic hit with VBS, and so we're going to share that song with you. All right, good job, kids. Finally, before we go into benediction, when you leave today, the Kids Worship kids have been working hard on May baskets, and so be sure to stop and grab one of those on the way out.
Friends, we hope in this time of worship that you have been found and have found your place. That place where faith holds us and grace renews us, where forgiveness longs for us to be who God wills for us to be. That place where we are accepted as we are, that place where we belong, that place where our questions, angers, needs, and pain are welcome. That place where our names are known. That place that isn't a building, but a way of being together, in relationship held together by love. And may this be that place, O God, this community, this group of travelers and doubters, campers and companions on the way. Loving God, as we go forth from this physical place, bless us and keep our eyes and ears and hearts open for all who are still seeking that place of grace-filled relationship and gracious welcome. May your steadfast love fill us so that we are always ready to share your steadfast love. Go now in peace. Amen.